Ooh, okay. Welcome to Jerry Berry's Friend-Tastic Library, the podcast where I interview everyday average people about their fantastic lives. Instead of going to a regular library to check out books, you can come to the Friend-Tastic Library and check out people. Today we're talking to Emily. She's one of my friends from college. She's another stats nerd. So yeah, we're just going to talk about COVID college, Zoom University, as I like to call it. My phone's already going off, even though this just started. And and then work after college. Yeah. How are you?
Sweet. I'm good. I'm very, very excited to be on the podcast.
Awesome. I'm excited too, because we haven't talked like since graduation, really.
I think so.
Or like shortly after, because I think I told you guys that I got my job and Nicholas had talked about his internship and stuff. So
yeah. And then after that, we just kind of started living our lives.
Yeah, it's weird to like become an adult.
Honestly, it's also like it's been weird, but also kind of freeing at the same time.
Yeah. Do you miss being a student?
Oh my gosh, low key. Like, but the only thing I miss about it is like the learning part, like knowing what you don't know. I was telling my colleagues the other day, what I miss about college the most is just like knowing what I'm not gonna know before I learn it, so that I'm prepared, But like in this job field, career field, whatever, that's not school related, you don't necessarily know what you don't know. So you have to figure it out as you go along, if that makes sense. Like they don't give you a syllabus. This is what
I never thought about that.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out why do I feel like this weirdness. I don't know what this feeling is. And I dissected it a little bit more. And that's what it was. Like, oh, okay. Yeah, this is new. This is very different. And I think I do miss that part. And I do miss statistics and math a little because I don't do too much of that. Same. But yeah, isn't that weird? Like you're going to school for one thing, but then you graduate and you're doing something really different, which is also kind of cool in a way.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't even remember most of the stuff we learned at this point because I just haven't used it. Like I didn't, and I feel bad. Like somebody just asked me, they're like, oh, so do you think you could like tutor it? And I'm like, ooh, I would have to refresh myself a lot. Like
honestly, I'd be in the same boat, except I think you knew this, but I tutored for like almost 3 years. So I think that stuff is just going to be in my head for another 5 years.
I think I could tutor like high school math, anything like calculus and under. But if it was like a level 400 stats class, I don't think it would take a minute for it to come back to me.
I couldn't even tutor that when I was taking it.
I know. Like I can't tell you what Bayesian inference is right now. So
same. Steve would be so disappointed.
I have all kinds of notes on this laptop and on my iPad for it, but yeah, I don't really know much about it anymore. And I went to I stayed friends with a professor that I consider like my mentor, and I went over to his house right before Thanksgiving. Like our families had dinner together, and he was like asking me all these math questions, and I was just like, I don't know, dude. And he was like, you really don't use any of it? And he was like, no. And I was like, no. And then he was like, have you done any research though? Like, do you keep up with it? And I'm like, no.
That awkward moment. Oh my gosh, you just reminded me. I need to reach out to my mentor. I feel bad. I haven't updated them on anything in my life. I feel like they like to know their mentees are doing good or bad.
I haven't reached out to CSUMB professors. I just have the one Hartnell professor that I update. And then I have a couple of Hartnell professors on Instagram and Facebook. So they see some life updates, but.
Didn't you spend like most of your time there than CSUMB?
Yeah, I did almost 4 years at Hartnell. I only did 2 years at CSUMB.
You have like more connections.
And then I worked at Hartnell even after I went to CSUMB, all the way until COVID hit. And then I became a TA at CSUMB.
Wait, I didn't know you were a TA.
Yeah, I TA'd for, I forget what the class code is, but it's the math that computer science majors have to take.
Yo, what?
It was called like maybe 270 or something like that.
Oh, data structures or something like that.
It's weird. And so it's basically like, I can't even remember what these classes are called anymore. There was like there was a class that you had to take during your associate's degree that was about like logic and stuff with computer science.
Oh,
And everybody hated it. Nobody did good in it. And I cannot remember what it was called now. Discrete math. So it's like
discrete math.
it's like taking bits and pieces of calculus, because they don't need all calculus, just some calculus. It's taking bits and pieces of statistics, because they don't need all, just some. And then it's taking a little bit of discrete math and combining it all together into one class.
Okay.
Because no offense to computer science majors, but they have a very hard time passing the calc series.
Oh, really?
That's what I was told by the CSUMB CS department head. So, and CS majors are highly needed these days. So they had to come up with a class that like smushed everything together.
Wow. Oh my God. Was it Math 170?
That maybe, I said 270. 170 was probably it.
Okay. Dang.
Yeah, and actually the head of the department reached out to me randomly, like after COVID had hit, because obviously students have a hard time at whenever that first happens.
Yeah.
And so they were looking to, after things had started back up and people were starting to like level out with online learning, he reached out and was like, yeah, we're ready to hire somebody as a TA for this class now that everything's like going down. And one of our professors, I guess it doesn't matter if I name drop too many people, but I'll just use first names. Jeffrey was the one that put me up for it. Oh, and Allison. Wow. He reached out to the math department and they were like, oh, I think Jerri used to tutor at Hartnell. You should ask her. So then they asked me and I was like, well, I don't think I know all of it. And he was like, oh, it's okay. You'll learn along the way. So then I did it.
Wait, were we in the same class around that time when you were tutoring?
It was I think. I did a TA for CSUMB like during the last year. So it would have been from like March of 2020 until we graduated.
Oh, I did know you were a TA then. I remember.
But it was so chill. Like I enjoy, I shouldn't say that. I feel like I enjoyed TAing at CSUMB more in different ways than I did tutoring at Hartnell.
Probably because you were in the comfort of your own home, right?
Yeah, there's that. And I felt like the kids at CSUMB were just more serious. They would show up and actually have questions and like want to learn.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know if that's age or different colleges or what. Majors maybe, I don't know.
That's a good statistic study.
I know.
Oh my gosh, it brings back memories from our freaking capstone. Straight up, like it was fun, but at the same time so stressful because I wasn't sure if we were going to pass, if Stephen was going to be, should I even be saying his name? Oh well, I already said it.
Yeah, like, I feel like first names is safe. There's a lot of like common first names, but that's how I usually roll.
Okay, cool. I'll just say Steve as well. Like I wasn't sure if he'd be proud, not proud. I didn't know. So I was just like, you know what? I'm not going to pay attention to that. We're just going to have fun.
I know. I definitely felt pressure being the very first stats majors.
Oh my God. Yeah. I told myself, don't think about that fact because you will go too much. Like I was already a little too like high strung. So I had to like, I put myself 15 notches off because I don't want to be that person. So yeah, I, like chilled and didn't think about the fact that we were the first stats majors. That was so cool, by the way. Like, it is. What?
I know. I don't think anybody else thought it was as cool as me in my like group of people, but I thought it was really cool.
It was amazing. It's amazing. It's like saying, I don't know, it's like making history.
Yeah.
The freaking, what is the right word? I don't know the right word.
Trailblazing? It's like trailblazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, 66.67% of the very first stats majors were women, so that's really awesome.
Look at you using your stats brain, I swear. I love it.
Hey, do you do a random data collection and calculations in your regular daily life?
It's so funny sometimes, but not as computational as you might think. I just like think of patterns like at work or like just in general, like you said, everyday life. And I think about like, okay, this thing keeps happening over and over again. So like statistically speaking, what does that mean? You know, like I I don't want to use my emotions. I want to use, what does the data tell me?
Yeah.
Even with like COVID stuff, it's crazy. I'll think about the Omicron like strand, and I'll think about how, it's clear that the mutation there is giving like false positives and false negatives on the test, because a lot of people are saying, oh, I'm positive, but at the same time, the next day they're negative, like there's something wrong with the test. And I think about the percentages of how often these things are happening, or how many people are getting sick, and I just collect these patterns in my head, like as though I'm like doing a project or something. I don't do anything with it necessarily, but think about it. It gets me going.
Same. I do the same stuff constantly. I'm constantly comparing like states' ratios of like positives to their population and stuff like that. Like, I did one. I got into an argument on Facebook with family about minimum wage. And so I created a whole graph in R about how low minimum wage is compared to whenever it started and all this stuff. Like,
you did that on your own?
Yeah.
I love it. Oh
I do all kinds of weird stuff. I constantly am like calculating percentages and stuff like that in my head about like dumb stuff, like how, like what percentage of an audiobook I'm through at this point. Like,
oh my God, I do that too. I'm rereading the Hunger Games series. I just finished the second book, and as I'm going through the books, I just like think of the percentages of how many how many pages or chapters I've read out of the entire book. Like, oh, okay, 2% of the book, so I have like what 90% of the book left. That's so crazy.
And then whenever I started my job, they encourage and are totally accepting of headphones in and just doing your work, and a lot of people like to listen to music or whatever. So I just started listening to music. Got real boring by like day 2, so like I started doing podcasts, and then I got into audiobooks, and then I just this year, at the beginning of this year, friends on social media were sharing like this Goodreads app that showed all this cool data, right? Just like Spotify does for your music. So then I downloaded Goodreads, and then I had to comb through all the books all the audiobooks I'd listened to, and I realized that I read like 20 of them. So then I was like, I need to know all the stats on these books. So now I'm keeping a log of every book I read, like the author, the gender of the author, like the pages, like so at the end of the year I'll have all these awesome statistics, like where like people of color present, where like LGBTQ people present, like
this is amazing.
I'm a nerd and have nothing better to do.
Nothing better to do, dude. You're like using your statistics brain way more than I thought you would be. Like I'm not using my statistics that much, but I want to. I really kind of do. Maybe I don't know. I haven't even played with it. Oh my gosh, that's insane. I love it. You're kind of inspiring me right now. Like I kind of want to do some math. That's so wild.
I did have somebody send me a crazy calculus 2 problem and ask me if I could help them, and then I was like, hard no, I cannot.
Hard no. Oh my
God. Other people talking about college gives me instant PTSD anxiety. Like,
oh my God, I feel that.
I start pacing, and I'm like, something's due. I have to get something done. Something's due right now. What do I have to do? I'm sure something's due. I can't just sit here and do nothing. And so like,
how long do you think until that wears off?
I don't know. But I do know that like right after we graduated, I crocheted 6 hats in the matter of like 2 days.
I have one of them.
Oh yeah, I forgot I gave you a Nicholas one.
I kind of want to put it on my head, but I'll wait.
Like this is one that I made.
Oh, nice.
Because I couldn't sit still. I had to do something.
Yeah.
So I was just like crocheting hats like a mad person.
Oh my, actually, now that you bring it up, I think same, except instead of crocheting, I use that fuel for like applying to heck of jobs. Like,
oh yeah, I did that too.
All the time. And I couldn't, like you said, I couldn't sit still. Like I was always baking something, cooking something, cleaning something, or like, I don't know, making something if I wasn't like preparing for interviews. And I was like doing this internship, unpaid internship, if you will, which should have been like, no, don't do that. It's unpaid. But, I needed to do something with my time, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's insane. Whoa, I didn't realize that until right now.
Yeah.
I was like, why didn't I get those symptoms of, school being like too much and me not being able to stop. But that I wasn't able to stop for a long time.
Yeah. It's
Um,
like it's weird how little stress I have now that I have a real person job instead of school.
Actually, I watched Daredevil now. Great show. And
On
like,
Netflix?
yes.
Did you see the new Spider-Man?
Yes. He was.
Okay.
Sorry, guys, if you didn't watch it. Oh my God,
Spoiler alert.
I freaking love that movie, dude. My heart almost. I find him so attractive. Oh,
The Daredevil guy?
yes.
Matt Murdock? Yeah, for sure.
God. He like those glasses he wears, and I just
Yeah.
oh, and his body when he like stands like this, like oh my God. Woo! Okay. Anyway, but I forgot what I was gonna say.
I don't know. You said you were watching Daredevil.
Yes, I watched Daredevil now, and like, oh yeah, so like I was thinking about, I can't imagine what it's like for people who have to do homework right now.
Uh-huh.
Like I was like enjoying the show. I didn't want to stop watching it. Usually when I'm in school, I have to stop watching it to do my homework, but I didn't have anything to do. And I felt like the anxiety because I thought, oh my God, what do I have to do? Like I have to do homework. But that passed and went away because I was like, oh, I don't have school. I'm good. And I just chilled. But I had it for a brief moment. And that was, I think, the first time that I noticed, at least, that I was aware of that I had like you said, a PTSD moment of like school and homework and the stress of not passing.
Yes.
Gosh, I never want to feel that again. I hope that's the only one I have.
Yeah. Like my first week at work, I was like, whenever I would come home, I'd be like, I should have work to do. Shouldn't I have work to do right now? Yeah. I know I went to work, but like I should have more work. They should have sent me home with work for sure.
You're right. You know what? I think that this whole like PTSD thing or college PTSD thing is like, it shows in different waves because you're bringing up a lot of stuff that I didn't even realize. Like right now, you said like, oh, I feel like I should be, do I have work right now?
Yeah.
But you don't have anything to do. You just come home and like, I just realized, I guess that's the form of the anxiety that my mind is taking and how it handles the fact that we're not in school anymore. We're just, I want to say free, but for those who are in college right now, you're doing great. College is good. It's just, the after effects are
Follow your dreams. It'll be okay on the other side.
Oh, I don't know if I told you this, but I'm gonna be traveling to Finland in a couple of months actually.
For what?
Just to go.
That's awesome.
Like I just really wanted to do something by myself, and I love doing random big things. I've always loved doing that, but I never had the means to do it. But now, like, I have the time
and the job.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And to afford living and traveling, which I won't do this particular trip for a very long time because it did take a chunk of my earnings, but I think it will be worth it.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's a big, exciting part about, graduating from college, because this is also kind of like my graduation gift. My late 24th birthday gift. It's all of it combined because I didn't get to do anything last year for myself. Yep. So this is like a big gift for myself. And I was like in college for 6 years, 6 long hard years. And I'm proud. Like we did it. We finished it,
I know. And now we have jobs.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I was the same way. I was like, dude, I've been living off of government assistance and like grants and scholarships for 6 years. Well, 8 years technically for me, almost 8, because I went to a private college first. I already went on a whole soapbox on this channel about private colleges, so I won't do it again. But I went to a private college first that closed and I had to start all over. So I've just been on like basically since I got to California. Well, even before California, I worked in retail, so I was still on like some assistance. Yeah. But let me tell you, medical insurance is like,
oh my gosh.
I feel like so upper class now whenever I pull out like my insurance card.
Yes. Same.
Part of me always thought as a Medi-Cal person, I guess if you're from out of state, then just state medical insurance. Part of me thought like, no matter what insurance, it's probably like this, maybe just less busy. And then I went to like actual doctors and dentists and eye doctors, and I was like, oh my God, this is like royalty. Like there's a severe class problem in America and it deals with healthcare.
It's crazy because we shouldn't have to think that like at all, but that is so accurate. Because I remember with Medi-Cal, I had Medi-Cal too during college, and everything was busy all the time, and the what they told you about your body and all that stuff, most of the time it was inaccurate or like completely exaggerated. And I'm like, what you lying for, bro? I mean, why you gotta lie? It don't make no sense. Like, it still makes me mad to this day. So many damn things they told me. I went to get a second opinion. Oh, did you know you had this disease? Or this wasn't anything you struggled with actually. Like, what? I drew blood for no reason then?
Yes. My husband went, so like I work for an agricultural company. So in California, they have their own ag clinics that only ag workers can go to, and their spouses and their children. So it's just like an urgent care, but for ag people only. So it's a lot less busy. They take more time with you. Some people in the ag industry just use that as their GP instead of going to like a regular doctor. But what's funny is my husband went there because he wasn't feeling well. So he had to go get tested for COVID. And then while he was there, they were like, let's just do a full workup because you haven't been to a doctor in a while, because we had Medi-Cal. And he said that like that clinic, that urgent care clinic for ag workers, was like 10 times nicer than the Medi-Cal doctor he was assigned to. Like, where the guy like cared and was like, oh, like, because me and my husband are both overweight. So he's like, you're overweight and this runs in your family and that runs in your family. So let's do all these tests. And like, and he was like, yeah, nobody ever did that for me. They took my blood pressure at a clinic like years at the Medi-Cal clinic years ago and was like, here's blood pressure pills, bye. Like
exactly. Didn't give two shits about, let me tell you more about what's going on. And they didn't rush you out. Have you ever been like rushed out by them? Just like, okay, well, thank you for coming. Wait, I have questions. Hold on.
Yeah, like my whole pregnancy, like I had a midwife because I knew I'd have to go through Medi-Cal with my insurance. And they're like, all right, get out of here, ma'am, get dressed. What are you doing? Like, just stepping. By the way, do you need birth control? We don't want you to get pregnant again.
Oh my God.
You're on Medi-Cal. It was horrible. And like eyes and teeth for some reason aren't covered under state insurance. I don't know who decided that, but
yeah, who like, that's dumb. That's all a part of health.
Yeah, my dentist was like, your gums are like real bad. And I was like, yeah, it's because I haven't been to a dentist. And he's like, why haven't you gone to a dentist? I was like, because it wasn't covered under insurance, bro. I'm not going to pay you out of pocket.
I feel like this is why, like, when this is
I got new glasses. I went to a real eye doctor. They told me that like my eyes are different prescriptions, which wasn't happening with my other glasses. And I have an astigmatism that wasn't working. My glasses didn't reflect that because I had to go to Walmart because I had no insurance.
What?
So,
Dang, they did not help you at all. Oh my God. I also got new glasses with my new insurance, and which is, by the way, I love the fact that the copay is so like small compared to
I paid $10 to see an eye doctor.
Right?
Yeah.
And then the frames,
These are like name brand frames. Like, it's crazy. They're like metal name brand frames. And before I was buying like the cheapest plastic frames on the Walmart wall. Like,
see, this is great. I feel like this is gonna like encourage someone who's struggling in college right now, or struggling in general. Just like Jerri said, follow your dreams because
it'll be better on the other side.
Frames.
And like you're saying, you just planned a trip because you've lived on like a poor college student salary for so long that now you'd like, because that's what I did. We booked all kinds of trips and we're like buying stuff for our house, and like people at work were talking about Disneyland. And then I was like, I thought about Disneyland, but it's super expensive. And then I was like, but I've been to Legoland, and I was telling them about, but I just went during the holidays, so there were no rides open or anything. And then my son's been begging to go back. So then while we're all talking about it at work during lunch, I'm like looking at Legoland packages because they're telling me Disneyland's going to cost like 6 G's and shit. And so then I'm like, oh, Legoland's so cheap. It's only going to cost me like $3,000 to go there for 2 full days, stay in the hotel. And I'm like, I'm just going to book this shit. Right.
Amazing. You helped me out with something. I didn't know that.
Yeah, Legoland's way cheaper. I'm not saying Legoland is cooler than Disneyland. I've never been to Disneyland, but I enjoyed being able to just like book a trip, like.
Wow. I didn't know that about Legoland. I've never been there either, but I've heard good things.
I think Legoland is definitely more for kids.
Mm.
Like, I think most of their rides are for people that are like 4 feet and under. To where
Oh,
Disneyland has like a lot of fun stuff, but I don't know. And then
yeah,
like you can just nerd out on
probably.
Disney stuff.
Hmm.
But if you really love Legos, it's a cool place to go. Or if you have kids or like younger people that you can take with you. But yeah, like um and then my this year a bunch of women in my family had like milestone birthdays. Like I turned 30, another sister turns 21, another one turns 18. My stepmom
Nice.
turns 50. So we're like, oh, let's plan a ladies only vacation. We don't see each other that often. So then they do all this research and we decide we're going to go on a cruise. Excuse me, because most of us have never been on a cruise. So
Oh my God.
I have no idea what they cost, but they're really fucking cheap if you didn't know that.
They are.
If you go like not summertime, they're so cheap. So my sister, but you know, I have other family members, like my sister's in college, so she's like on the struggle bus with money, which I feel that I was just there.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, this is the cheapest one I can find, and it's going to be like $196 cheap each or something like that. And I was like,
Mhm.
dude, book 10 of them. Like, what the hell?
Yes, yes. Okay, that's good to know as well.
Yeah.
Whenever I get like a significant other or something, I'm gonna go because I'm scared to go on cruises alone.
Yeah,
I
I
don't.
don't think I
I
would
can
go
do like
alone.
anything else alone, but
Yeah,
cruises, the ocean just scares me a little bit. Just
for sure. For sure. With the drink package where you get all the food, like because you automatically get all the food in the room and board covered,
Mhm.
besides the really fancy places that you have to reserve. But then with the drink package, it's gonna cost us like 400 each or 450 each. And then
Mm.
you can pay extra to do like fun stuff like swimming with dolphins or like because we're going to Mexico. So you can like do fun shit in Mexico and pay for it.
That's
But
so cool.
that's so fucking cheap, dude. I was like, oh my God, this is why so many people go on cruises. This is ridiculously cheap.
Wow. Wait, what's a drink package? Like a
You get all your alcohol is covered all day
nice.
long. So
Okay.
with your regular for cruises, whenever you just pay to get on the ship, they cover all of your dining, and then
Mhm.
they cover like coffee, water, and like lemonade and tea and stuff that they'll have out. But if you want like sodas, juices, milkshakes, specialty coffees, or alcohol, you have to pay out of pocket. But if you buy the drink package ahead of time, every cruise is different where you the price point for it. But then basically you get a little bracelet that you just tap the whole time you're there and all the drinks are covered.
Ooh.
There's always specialty restaurants and bars on ships that
Mhm.
aren't covered where it'll be like a fancy steakhouse or like whatever. But
Oh, maybe I
yeah.
can go with some friends or something. I feel like
Yeah.
that'd be a lot of fun.
I think it's pretty common to go with like not couples. Like the cruise that we're going on is through Carnival, and that's known as the party cruise, where they have like
Ooh.
nightclubs up until like 4 a.m. So
Oh,
you could like meet somebody on a cruise, I think.
yeah, that sounds likely. Most people like it's bound to meet somebody. Okay. Wow, I love this. We're talking about traveling. Like,
I know.
what was it like a year ago today? I think we were on. We had just come back from winter vacation, right? To go back to school.
Yeah.
About I think around
I sometimes I forget that I just graduated in 2021.
right. Like that's a huge thing because not a lot of people can say like, oh, I graduated and within that year I got a job. Like that's
Yeah.
so rare. Do you think
Yeah.
it has to do with our degrees? Like,
Yes. I have a friend that went to school with us and he was in like an R class, a couple R classes with me. And he went for environmental science and he just found a job like 2 days ago, a week ago, something like that. And it took a long time. He's been applying nonstop to places, and a lot of the jobs for environmental science were like unpaid or like
hmm,
internships where they pay you a flat rate no matter what you do, blah, blah, blah. So
it says a lot about like just I guess the what's the right word? The times we live in right now. Is that the right word?
yeah.
Just like everything is tech. Everything relies on STEM, pretty much.
Yep. And like here I was starting to resort to not even jobs in my degree because I didn't want to move from Monterey County, because I know you moved to San Jose, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
And I think there's more opportunities for STEM up there than there is here. I got so lucky whenever Judith emailed me about this job because I was literally just like, I had applied for Cal State Teach to just go the teaching route. And then I was up until like 4 a.m. applying for it. And then literally at 7 a.m. she emailed me and was like, do you want to apply for this job? And I was like, yes, I do.
Honestly, as soon as you told me, Nicholas, about like how you got, a gig, my hope went all the way up. I was like, yes, hell yeah, chance. But I also kind of like was a little confident in knowing that something was going to happen, because I mean, every teacher kept filling us up with, oh, you're going to get something. I mean, your degrees in statistics, you're going to get, like, we heard it all the time.
Yeah.
At least I know I did. And I just believed it. Like, okay, I'm gonna get something. But
Yeah.
at some point, it's hard to keep the hope alive. But seeing your peers win out here, like, that made me so happy.
Yeah, I think that our degree makes a huge difference for sure. And the area, because like I said, there isn't much here that really means stats.
Yeah.
I just gotten lucky. And I know a few other people that graduated in like the math stat realm from CSUMB, from Hartnell, and they ended up working back at Hartnell because they couldn't get a job.
Okay.
But a lot of it too, I think, is the interview. Like,
yeah,
people can get you the interview, but then if you don't nail the interview, like, can't help you there,
or at least like have them attracted, not in a weird way, but attracted to your personality at least a little bit.
Yeah, because that's what my mom talked to me about too. My mom's an HR person.
Oh, I remember she talked to us about it, like during Kaplan and stuff. She helped a lot, by the way.
Yeah, she's like really knowledgeable in all the California laws with like hiring and firing and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And she interviews tons of people and looks at resumes all day long. So she helped me out with all that stuff. And she helped my friend out too that graduated with us, but in environmental science. I forgot where I was going with this. Oh, but she was talking about the interview and saying, like, you literally spend more time with the people at your work than you do with your family or your people at home. Mm-hmm. So they have to like you. Like, it sucks, but it's like, it's not just all about what they have to decide if they can see you every day for 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Right.
So you really have to be like likable, I guess. Like you were saying, they have to be attracted to you, I guess, in a not weird way.
Yeah. In a not weird way.
Unless you're going to work for like a huge conglomerate like Google or something, where they're not going to really see a person. They're just going to know that like a warm body's there working at that computer. But.
Yeah. And like that, I'm so glad you brought that up, because I hope that, people don't like settle for a job. Because I don't think you did, because I feel like where you're at is like perfect for you and your personality and just what you need.
Yes. I'm in love with my job. I don't think I'll ever leave, but yeah.
Right. Same.
I could probably make more money somewhere else. Mm-hmm. But yeah, for my personality, I don't think I could work anywhere else.
It seems like this is perfect for you, which is amazing, because I mean, who can say they found a perfect position for like what their needs are and just everything,
Yeah. What about you? Do you think your job's like an end game job, or are you gonna be on the hunt in a couple years?
I feel like this could be an end game job, but it's one of those like I have no idea kind of thing. Because it's so like, because I work at a startup, so like everything's like how do I say it? Unpredictable is the right word. But it's also amazing. Like, we're doing things that I'm just like, yeah, we're so awesome. I love it here. I love the energy. I love the company. I love everything. And like, even though sometimes it's intimidating not knowing what I don't know, like I mentioned earlier, it's so exciting. Like, it keeps me going, honestly. Because sometimes, like, I've been going through a hard time with the whole breakup thing and blah, blah, old news. And so, like, this job has, like, and not knowing what I don't know and just learning every day has really brought me through a lot. It's amazing. And career-wise, mental-wise, everything. And everyone's really so cool. Like, beyond nice. They're so innovative. I don't know.
That's cool. How did you find out about this job?
I'm trying, actually. So my ex sent me this like link. Like, he was saying like, oh, you should do like SDR jobs because, good first opportunity for like a
SDR. What's SDR jobs?
Oh, sales development representative.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. And at the time he was that. So like, he figured this would be good as a starting point for me. And I was like, you know what? I'll take anything at this point. Because even though it's only been like 3 months after I graduated, in my head, I'm thinking, it feels like a year and I'll never get a job. So yeah, for sure. So I applied on this like recruiting website, but I don't remember the name of it. But I can find it if that helps anyone. But
I
yeah,
had done that too. Somebody had sent me a link for a recruiting company, and they would email me links of jobs to apply for.
yes,
But
exactly.
too many of them didn't really sound appeasing, so I didn't apply to most of them.
I
But
was
yeah,
a little nervous about that, and but this one was a little different. Like instead of you finding jobs, the recruiters were finding you. If that makes sense.
yeah,
I posted this video of um I don't know the right word. I'm spacing on words tonight, but basically, like, it was a video of me introducing myself and why I'd be a good fit for your company. And they would be like, whether they liked the video or not, they would be like, hey, let's interview. And one of the recruiters at the startup was like, I want to interview you. So instead of me working as a sales development representative, I'm a technical project manager. So it really, really worked out.
that's awesome.
Oh my gosh, this is crazy.
Yeah, I feel like I'm not a very my like presentation isn't very professional, and I have a hard time with it, and I'm very uncomfortable in professional clothing and stuff. So I
Yeah.
got lucky because ag professional is like jeans and functional shoes and like flannels or button downs or sweaters or whatever you want.
I love it. It's funny because that's how like tech companies are too.
Yeah, tech, I think tech companies are getting to that point where they're like, we don't really care what you look like, you just have to work.
Yeah, just
Like,
bring the brains, bring the energy, let's go.
yeah, my mom, and I never understood that either. I never understood office culture where they're like, no one ever sees you, but you have to be dressed to the nines every day.
Yeah. I
That
didn't
made
I don't
sense.
understand that either. Like I mean, if you want to dress like that, cool. But like if you're forced to dress like that, why do you care? Like why does
Yeah,
another person care how you look? I never understood that.
I think as long as you're clean and like if you're not like in like sloppy holy clothes, it's like I don't think it matters.
Exactly. And
I
it's
know that like the CEO to my company will wear like jeans and a polo or jeans and a button down. And then the CFO is a woman that wears like dress slacks and like a nice top, right? Like she doesn't even wear heels because she's like, I can't mess with heels.
yeah,
So
I feel that.
and my first week there, I was so scared and like so new, and I was like, just give me a job. Yes, I'll be the best. I'll be the best. So I was dressing like really nice and only wearing slacks and blazers and stuff. And then I saw how everybody else was dressing every day, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. So now
Right.
like now I show up in like my Nikes and like nice jeans, and like I wore this hoodie to work today. Like,
Yeah, yes. I wore this to work.
yeah, it's perfect. It's so perfect. And then like
Yeah.
the other thing that made so I did an ag internship, and I got to see like some of the bad stuff with stats in the ag industry
Mhm.
because I really don't want to take people's jobs from them. Um, and I don't like companies that mistreat employees, but I got lucky with like a family owned company that really cares and doesn't do bad things. And I'm not doing bad things with my data. So
Nice.
yeah, like the only people that would like lose their job would be me causing giant corporations to have to renegotiate contracts with us because they're making us lose
Mhm.
money.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
it's like I feel morally better because
Yeah.
I'm just like finding flaws in other big name ag companies that you buy your vegetables from, and I'm like, hey, you're not doing it right.
No, that's cool because I feel like do you remember in one of our classes, I think Stat 320, where we talked about like ethics?
Yeah,
Yeah, like ethics and stats and stuff. It's cool because I feel like you're, doing that.
yeah, that's it was important to me, and I was worried about that whenever I went
Mhm.
into the company, but I just went in with hopes and was like, okay, if it's really bad or if they do bad things, I'll just like leave in a couple years, right? Like this will be
Making
a
the
stepping stone.
plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like for my internship that I did, it was like the guy wanted to create a system to he had a small business startup, and I hated him, but luckily I didn't really have to report to him. I reported to my professor through the college.
Yeah.
And he wanted to create a system for picking companies to be able to rank their pickers basically by like a baseball card of like stats on how
Mhm.
fast they pick and stuff.
Yeah.
So we were trying to develop software for that, and I was like, oh, this doesn't feel good, but it was an internship and I was just in it. So
Got you. You know, it
So
is what it is sometimes.
like we ended up not even really getting to that. We learned more about, we were trying to like explain to the companies it's not really about ranking your pickers, it's about like collecting. Ag is horrible at data. They just don't get it. Like they're all old white dudes, and no offense to ag people, but they just like don't understand that if they just collect minor data, their jobs will be just so much more profitable.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
that's why like my job is perfect, because they were like, we've never had a data person before, and we've just kind of been like scraping along, and now they're like, wow, this is amazing.
yeah.
And I barely have to do anything. Like I'm just in Excel. So like but even in that internship, we were like, no, you're just like not harvesting stuff right. And you're not collecting data on your yields from past years. So you don't know how to estimate your yields for today. And that's kind of basic. Like you just have to count boxes every day and put a number down somewhere.
Yeah,
And you'll
yeah,
have historical data to then estimate off of. Like it's not
yeah. Dude,
this
you're
is
smart.
like, but like I was trying to like think of the stuff that we learned in school and how detailed it was and how technical it was, and I'm like, literally, if somebody just has Google Sheets right now and you just enter in some numbers, like
Yeah.
we could be going real far.
Yo, you're remembering a lot more than I did, because I worked at, not worked, oh my gosh, in one of our classes that we took, like we had to volunteer somewhere and do some
Yeah,
stuff, and I was in Excel as well. That rhymes. And I didn't even like, I don't even remember most of the Excel crap, or like how to explain it how you did that. And it's amazing. We all have different strengths, and yours is that.
yeah. Well, thank you.
You're welcome. So cool. I'm so proud.
Yeah, like the company I work for was collecting more data than any other ag company I've ever seen or heard of. And that's why like all these other people that we have contracts with, their minds are blown that we know all this stuff. And I'm like, well, it's really simple. You send us reports every week. We just have to put it in an Excel sheet and look at the history and like tell you where you're wrong. Like
Amazing.
you could probably train my 8-year-old son to do what I do 90% of the time. Like
What got me is you were like, they're all old white dudes. They don't know.
I mean, old white dudes are cool, right? Sometimes.
Yeah.
My dad's an old white dude, but you know, they're just looking at their phones like this to like FaceTime with their grandkids. Like they don't know what technology is or how to collect data. Like
Yeah, I mean, we're not insinuating anything, but you know, patterns indicate. Oh my god.
like literally in that internship I was in, they told us, they were like, oh yeah, so the way that we predict yields is this guy was a picker and now he's a crew boss and he thinks about how much he could have picked in 8 hours and then he calls and tells us. I'm like, what? Like, are you serious?
Your eyes, what?
So yeah, like they just literally don't think about doing any of this stuff. It's all based on like
Interesting.
old farm worker folklore of like, you know.
That's interesting. Like, I mean, I'm definitely categorizing and being probably a bad person by saying this, but like most, you know, how do I frame this? I've noticed that like a group of, not all, but you know, most old white men tend to know like how to invest in stocks and all that stuff, which is like to me complex.
Yeah.
But then you're telling me like, you know, this, and I'm wondering like, I wonder how far that kind of that goes. I'm trying to be like civil and not say anything too harsh.
Yeah.
No,
It's like historically white men have run the country somehow, but they don't know to collect data on how many berries they picked last year. Like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that crosses my mind. Like, I mean, I can't help but think about that. It's just staring at me in the face. Like, and again, just so for record's sake, I'm not trying to ridicule anyone or anything. I'm just trying to figure it out.
Yeah. Well, that's like my favorite memes are about like why we need women as presidents, and it's always stuff like, I want to start a war, and it's like, do you have war money? No, we got war at home. You don't need another war. Like stuff like that.
I want Burger King. You got Burger King money?
Yeah. You got war money? We don't need no more war. We got war at home.
love that response. 100%.
But yeah, I think with at least from what I've noticed, farming is literally like a folklore / witchcraft thing of like knowledge web, where it's like literally people start by picking and they work their way up. So no one's ever like just come in and been like, hey, you should try this route instead, right? Like it's always like, well, my grandpa hired me whenever I was 16 to pick lettuce, and this is how he's always done it, so this is how I'm always going to do it, right? So like
yeah, and then like the people who do have a different way of thinking, they push them away because it's too different and it's gonna mess things up.
Yeah,
something like that. And
yeah. So and I've talked to other people that have worked in ag as well that have said the same thing, where they're like, oh yeah, I tried to explain to them that you can just like keep minor records on this stuff, and Excel will tell you what your average like your average days to harvest lettuce is. Like, you know, on average we should be harvesting lettuce every 60 days or whatever, right? Like or like on average what this field has yielded in the past. Like this is pretty basic stuff that you can probably keep track of, but
you're like hints
yeah.
Not insinuating anything, just saying.
Yeah, and like my boss started doing that whenever she started working there, but her plate got too full and she couldn't keep up with any of it, so that's why she wanted like a data person, like where their only job is to collect data and run numbers.
Okay, and so you do that perfectly, and you're a woman.
I know, right? Actually, so the owner of my company is a guy and the CEO is a guy, but everyone else is like female run and operated.
Wow.
Like our bookkeeper, our accountant, the CFO, me, the HR woman, the front desk, it's all women. Oh, I lied. Our controller is a guy. So owner, CEO, and controller is a guy.
Interesting. Those seem to be like managerial positions for the most part.
Yeah, besides the CFO and HR. So yeah, but yeah.
Oh, interesting. Very interesting. There goes my like calculating brain trying to figure out, why?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's definitely hard in the ag industry because they don't really like change. So I've already had people say things to me in my job that like were not politically correct or up to date, but it's like, okay.
Oh, that's awkward.
Like not the people that I immediately work with. It's like people that come into the office that have a question. And they're like, is somebody important here? Like Mr. So-and-so? I'm like, well, fuck me, I guess. Who am I? Stop liver. Yeah, exactly.
Like that. Like, dang.
I guess I'm not important. I'll just go home then. Whatever.
Oh my God, that was funny.
Do you have a story of somebody telling you like to not do what you were doing or tell you that you weren't going to make it? Do you have one of those? I always like those stories.
Let's see. Can you give me like an example?
Yeah, well, so a personal example is like at the internship, the guy that owned the startup company wanted to he was an old white guy. He wanted to pull everybody into the office individually and give them realistic criticism since we were all going to be in the workforce soon. And really it was just an excuse for him to be really mean and demeaning to everybody because he's used to like 18-year-old people coming in. But I'm like, at the time I was like 28. So I had already dealt with like old white dude managers my whole life. And so then he started talking to me and was telling me that I need to change my personality and my work ethic because people don't like me and no one will hire me.
Telling me about this.
And that what I remember the quote that he said, it was what you did to get here will not get you any further. And I was like, do you know what I did to get here? And he was like, well, I can assume. And I'm like, well, I don't think you know what you're talking about. And then he also said, what was the other thing that he said? Oh, he was like, you have a family. You should have a better work ethic than anybody else here because money should be more important to you. And I was like, I don't need a lot of money. he was like, you're going to, families are really expensive and that should be really, and I'm like, no, money isn't that important to me. So
Ew, he's just pressing on
he
it.
ended up he ended up hating me so much that he stopped coming into the office.
Oh my god. What is the deal?
Yeah. And then I went into my interview and they obviously asked about my internship. And then they were like, what is this company? And I'm like, oh, it's a startup. But it was funny because like they didn't even know who he was. Even though he's a startup for ag and they're an ag company, they had never heard of it.
I can't believe he said these things to you. And he
Yeah.
was wrong. Like,
Yeah, he made like another girl cry because she was like 19 and he told her that she hadn't done anything this whole internship and he doesn't know why she shows up every day if she's not going to do anything. And like it was a whole deal.
jeez. You know, I can't remember at the top of my head right now, like experiencing something that blatantly disrespectful. Jeez, like,
I don't think most people deal with like the blatantness, but I was just wondering as a woman and especially as like a person of color if you've had people that have been maybe rude or not said nice things about your career choices.
yeah. My career choices. I mean, there was an experience in one of the comp sci classes. I won't name the professor, but there was a moment where, okay, so there was only like 3 women in the class. And everyone else was like guys. And it was like a big class. It was like 20 students. And at that school, you know, that's a lot. And I remember like I'm sure you remember, I always have questions all the time. I'm just like all the time. And like I remember one time I was raising my hand and asking a question, and the professor, I can't even remember what he said because I remember being so offended, but it was something about me being a woman and like, you know, let someone else ask a question because he mentioned like me being a female and a lot of questions and, you know, he's gonna just ask someone else. Like, I was like, well,
yeah,
you like what? Like,
yeah,
I'm here to learn.
yeah,
Sir.
yeah,
Yes, it was a man. Okay.
yeah.
Sir. Damn it. And then there was another moment in that class where my code matched another person's code and that other person was also a woman. And I am not like, I don't cheat. I'm very but I guess I was accused of cheating. And ever since then I've just had this like paranoia for like, oh my god, what if what I'm doing is gonna be like someone else's and I get accused of cheating again? Because that's scary in college. You can get in serious trouble, and I didn't cheat.
Yeah.
Some integrity. But I mean, that wasn't necessarily, you know, someone saying something bad about my career, but it was a letdown on how people view women. And especially in this field. And that didn't hit me until like a few years later. And now I'm like this huge advocate for just for myself being a woman in this field because you are, you know, looked down upon whether they want to or they realize it or not, because and they as in men, not even trying to be like that, but it's just a fact. Like men have a different kind of confidence than women do because they have a bit more power. Even though men have their short fallbacks too, like I'm sure it's really hard to grow up expecting to always carry the load for women all the time. I know that's hard. But like for women, it's also hard. Like it's not just hard on you, it's hard on us. You get to walk around with the power, even though you're expected to have the power, you have the power. And you can walk into a room and no one's gonna, you know, you're not gonna expect people to judge you for being a man. Or not take you seriously because you've got a breast and you're short or something. Or because you're colored, like something that limits you, you know. And I don't know, I feel like I was gonna say something important, but oh yeah, today we were talking, me and my colleagues were talking about how some people, there used to be like social smoke groups, you know, you'd go to a bar and then you'd go outside, smoke. And women, like we're talking about how women can just go outside and be like, oh, I'm gonna have a smoke and just be there. There has to be like precautions, like, oh, what if there's a man out there who's gonna hurt me or something, and we can't just like freely walk around with our powerful bodies. Like there's always some kind of danger for us because we're just fragile. And no, we're not fragile, but the world has made us fragile. Like,
yes.
How we look, the outside. We're strong AF though.
Yeah.
We're like a brick house.
Yeah.
Not in that way.
The world has made it seem like we're just weak
Fragile
women and strong men can do whatever they want. Yeah.
Yeah. That's not the case. As soon as you bark back, they get afraid, and then they want to. Well, it depends on the person. So.
Yeah.
I'm projecting at this point.
I've learned that playing dumb is really useful a lot. For it not that came out wrong.
I know.
Like for instance, that just came up recently was a guy that I was having lunch with was like, yeah, I couldn't find these art supplies that I was going to buy in the Dollar Tree, so I had to go to that girl store. And I'm like, what girl store? And instantly in my mind, I'm like, Michael's, right? And he's like, the girl store. And I'm like, no, I don't know what girl store you're talking about. That could be like any store, right? Any store can be a girl store.
Yeah.
And then he's like, well, it has a guy's name. And I was like, doesn't sound like a girl store then, bro.
Thank you for not like giving in.
And then, like eventually he came to it. It was like, it's Michael's. And I was like, oh, Michael's. Yeah, they do have a lot of art stuff there. And he's like, well, that's a girl store. And I was like, is it?
Unbelievable.
Right. So that's what I mean by like, sometimes I just like to play dumb because it's better to watch them have to explain it. It brings me joy.
There's like an ongoing joke at work sometimes. Yeah. Oh, if we play dumb, the ladies and the guys get to mansplain, like explain like the thing is, and they feel all powerful and
yeah.
And what I love is that I don't know. I love that that's a joke because it's true. I mean, for some guys, it's like, oh yeah, ask me these questions so I can seem super smart and powerful to you, young lady. Yeah. Okay.
I'm obsessed with Lady Gaga, and whenever A Star Is Born came out, I watched it like 100 times. And I watched all the interviews, and Bradley Cooper like wrote the rendition of it because it's a story that's been told like 4 different times in Hollywood. So he wrote the most recent rendition. He did all the casting. He sang in it, right? Blah, blah, blah. He directed it, whatever. And his big thing was being authentic. So like she didn't wear makeup in it. She wore like moisturizer, but there was like no makeup to be had for the first beginning of the movie because she's supposed to be just like a normal chick that works as a waitress and is discovered by a famous guy. So, she talks about this extensively, how he constantly was having the makeup artist wash her face off because they were trying to like put not makeup on her. And he was like, no makeup. I know she looks tired. She's supposed to. She's a poor waitress, right? So like, why are you putting makeup on to make her look tired if she's already tired?
Yeah.
Right, like that. And so I'm explaining this to a guy friend at dinner. This is back whenever the movie came out in like 2019, maybe 2018. And he's like, I don't believe you. Everybody in Hollywood wears makeup. And I'm like, okay, bro, whatever. And then I'm like showing him clips of the video because you can find them on YouTube. And he's like, I know makeup. She's wearing makeup. And I'm like, oh, you a man that has never worn makeup are gonna tell me what makeup looks like? Like, are you for real right now? He's like, no, you don't know, Jerri. They put makeup on them. They have all this secretive makeup. And I'm like, really? Tell me, what is it called? What are they putting on her? Do you know? What's the famous brand they use?
Oh my God. It's just
like, are you serious, dude?
It's like, it's just, I don't know if entitlement's the right word. It's the assumption that, what's the word I'm looking for, Jerri? I can't think of the word, but
no, entitlement was good. But
like, I'm not even trying to be rude or anything, but it's like the the boldness as to like
the audacity.
Yeah, like when guys talk about like, oh, periods aren't even that serious, like, oh my God, I want to flip my actual shit.
Yeah.
Like, do you realize how much it's painful? It's painful and it's gross. I hate having a period.
Yeah, I showed my husband the picture of like the normal uterus diagram, like the plastic thing. What do they call those?
The model.
Yeah, like a normal model uterus, and then they had like the uterus on the period and how much bigger it is and inflamed and just angry it is. And he's like, oh, that's so gross. I'm like, I know, but I'm showing you, like, this is what happens, dude. Like,
we hate it too. Oh, God.
I don't know how we got to this point, but I think this has happened before actually with me interviewing other women, and I'm like, I think I just lost like all the men that used to listen to this. But
I can go on and on about this.
I still interview men. It's fine. I have 2 men that I'm interviewing coming up, but because they do, the gender roles suck both ways. Men have to like pretend that they're not sad. Men have to worry about penis sizes all the time. Men have to be worried if they're not over 6 feet. Like they have their problems.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
but you know, you've gotten to vote since ever, and you've gotten to own land since ever if you're white, and yeah, for the voting and the land.
yep. And you've never really been. I mean, this goes without saying about, you know, men.
You were allowed to read first. You were allowed to go to college first.
But then also, like, they were allowed, I don't know if allowed is the right word, but they were expected to keep their women in check. Like, women, they've never been in the position to be like, silence your woman, like as if she's your pet. Like,
yeah. You know. One of my biggest pet peeves is whenever people call me Mrs. Alcaraz, and I'm like, that's not my name. You can call me whatever you want, but you can't call me that because that's not my name. And they're like, well, you got married. And I'm like, right, but I'm the breadwinner, motherfucker. He should be called Mr. Shore, right? If you want to go on your crazy ass backwoods patriarchal beliefs, I'm the one that gets up and goes to work every day while he cleans the house. So
I love that.
me and my husband do not have power plays like that at all.
Which is good.
We are very comfortable in our roles, but I'm like, if you're gonna throw this shit in my face right now, like
yeah.
But he did say that people at school call him Mr. Short because that's my kid's last name, so they assume that that's his last name.
That's cute.
And I'm like, yes, the patriarchy is getting thrown back in their faces. Ha ha ha.
I don't know if you watch Gilmore Girls, but I love how they do a twist. Like the mom Lorelai, she's like, you know what, I'm gonna name my daughter after me because, you know, basically the whole idea of the man naming their son after them. Instead, it's like the mom naming the daughter after her.
Wait, I thought her daughter's name was Rory. I've never actually seen the show. I just know pop culture references for it.
The daughter's spoiled and gets on my nerves sometimes, but the mom, great character. Reason why I watched.
The second person that said that on this show.
Really?
Yeah. So does she call her Rory for short?
Yeah, I don't really know how the nickname came to be, but that's just her nickname.
Okay.
Lorelai.
I've talked about that before with like naming your son after your husband or your male partner. I just think it's weird.
I don't have an opinion on that, but I just love the idea that they had the mom.
Yeah. My thing is like, I guess it doesn't matter what gender you are, like just be creative. Like we don't need any more Michaels. We don't need any more like, you know, like Maria's if you want to go with like the women's version. Like
yeah.
Right? Like Jessica's overdone. Let's just find something new. Like,
yeah.
It's like from Hercules, and he's like, all the guys were named Jason and all the girls were named Brittany.
Oh, I remember
like,
that. That scene.
And my thing is like, your name is your identity. Why would you want to extend that onto your child? Like they're their own person. Just let them be their own person. That's why
I get where you're coming from.
I didn't give my kids first names from like family at all, but with my son I gave him a middle name from my dad's side that's been passed down a lot, and then with Haley we just picked a middle name that we liked. It didn't matter, but but yeah, like it was so weird because my dad believed in naming you after somebody else in your family, and I know so many people that are like that. And they think it's like honoring them, but to me I'm like, no, that's like somebody else's name. Like I don't know, it's not my name, it's somebody else's name.
Like it's kind of like giving someone else like own shoes. Is that what you're saying? Like,
yeah, like it's weird.
I get what you're saying.
But yeah, like all my brothers are named after like dudes from my dad's side of the family. One of my brothers is named after my dad. He was on this show. And then my oldest my oldest brother, I interviewed my oldest brother's son, my nephew, but his youngest, so I should back this up, sorry. My oldest brother has 4 kids, and he always wanted a son. He was gifted 4 girls at birth, but the oldest one is trans, So, like now their outsides match their insides.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes by Ash, but at the time of naming, the gender presentation was female. So anyways, my brother got to his fourth kid and it was still a girl. So he just named her a female version of his name because he was so hell-bent on having a kid named after him and it being a boy, and it never happened.
Wow. I mean, you don't have to tell me if it's like too personal, but can I ask you later about what the name, how he changed it from being a girl?
Oh yeah, so because we already talked about most of this on the episode with his son Ash, but
Okay.
my brother's name is Daniel, which is my grandfather's name. So my dad's dad is named Daniel. My brother's name is Daniel, and he named his daughter Danica, and he calls her
What?
Danny.
I thought you were gonna say Danielle.
No, they thought Danielle was too cliche. They went with Danica, and at the time, Danica Patrick was pretty popular. So.
I was not expecting
But
that.
yeah, they never call her Danica. They always call her Danny because that's my brother's name, and my brother's name is Danny. Like,
Danny, I love it.
yeah, like only we call him Danny because that was like his boy name, like Joey. So people in his normal life call him Dan, like his wife and his work colleagues call him Dan. But yeah, like it just makes no sense. And then the same problem happens with me and my grandpa because I have my grandpa's name. It's on my mom's side though, because they thought I was going to be a boy and they ran out of boy names. And my dad was like, let's name her Randy too. And she was like, no, you already have a fucking kid named Randy. So, right? I was named after my grandpa on my mom's side, and his official name is Jerome. He's always hated that name. He's always gone by Jerri. I didn't know my grandfather's name was Jerome until I was 21 years old. I thought his given name was Jerri. That's how much he hates it. And I had lived with him and gotten his mail and saw Jerome Shore, and I was like, who is that? Like,
wow, dude, what?
So anyways, nobody calls him Jerome. So I was born, my mom named me Jerri, middle name Ann. So she called me Jerri Ann my whole life. And I can't stand that. It drives me crazy. So my mom and dad divorced or separate. They were never married. And I lived with my dad my whole life, and everybody just calls me Jerri. Jerri Ann died whenever my mom left. And so whenever I'd go visit her, she would call me that, but it didn't bother me because I only saw her a few weeks a year. And then so then I moved in with her, I moved to California, and then she's like, Jerri Ann. And I'm like, I have to stop this. Just Jerri. But now my grandma, because her and my grandpa aren't together, but she still talks to him. And now my grandma gets confused because I'm Jerri and he's Jerri, and she can't call him Jerome because he hates Jerome, and she can't call me Jerri Ann because I hate Jerri Ann. Yeah.
She's stuck with saying Jerri. Jerri.
Like the poor lady is like, I don't know who to call anybody anymore. None of you are happy.
Has anyone ever called you Jay?
No, I've had Jerry Berry. That's why I did this as Jerry Berry. I've had Gerald, Gerard, Jersey Shore.
Gerald.
Yeah, it was called
Shore. That's good.
Jersey Shore. Yeah, because my last name is Shore.
Yes.
Yeah. I've always enjoyed your name. It flows very well. I really like the last name Beasley. Yeah.
Thank you. And whenever I get married, I definitely want to do the hyphen because I like my last name, to be honest.
Yeah, I liked mine too. Maybe if somebody that I was marrying had like a super cool last name, like like Cruz or like Blazer.
Oh, Jerry Cruz.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Wait, isn't that? No, that's Tom Cruise. Never mind.
Tom Cruise played Jerry Maguire.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Not a bad movie.
So, yeah, I got picked on for my name my whole life. I don't like the name Jerry, but that's a whole other thing. We could go on forever and ever, but I wanted to ask you these Instagram questions because I have quite a few.
Okay.
And sometimes they take a while. Whenever I started this, I thought they would be rapid fire questions, but people ask really good questions, so they end up taking a while. And they're related to math, so we can get back on topic. Not that I'm mad that we got off topic, but
right.
Other listeners might be like, this isn't about math.
I know. Sorry, folks.
This happens a lot. It's fine. So multiple people asked what your favorite number is.
7.
Oh, me too.
Yo.
Now I want to know what Nicholas's favorite number is.
I know.
Is it like a stats thing or? I was gonna ask him to be on the show, but I didn't want you guys like back to back, so I'm gonna wait a bit and then have him on
Oh, smart. Look at you.
it. All right. Is there a reason for 7, or is it just like
Honestly, it's like it. Why 7? I actually don't know. It is spiritual for sure. I just don't know like what about it is spiritual.
somebody outside is yelling? I think my mic can pick it up. Anyways.
Who, me?
No, outside of my garage, so I can hear people yelling, and I think my mic is picking it up. But anyways.
I think like yeah, I don't have an answer for the spiritual part yet, but I do know that I think subconsciously my mind was like, oh, 7 is lucky, so 7 is good? Question mark.
Yeah.
So I always, like, love 7 as a number. It's just so perfect.
I always found 7 so fascinating because I'm a weird math person, and I used to like sitting up at night and doubling numbers and recognizing the patterns. So like binary is really easy, which is like 2 to the second, 2 to the third, to the fourth, to the fifth, yada yada yada, because it ends up, the last number ends up always being in a pattern. It's like 2, 4, 8, 16. So yeah, it ends up being like 2, 4, 8, 6, 2, 4, 8, 6, 2, 4, 8, 6 the whole time you go up. I'm pretty sure. Some math nerd somewhere will comment and correct me. But there's like a sequence, and I think 7 doesn't really have as much of a pattern, because it's like 7, 14, 28, 21, and then from there it's 35, 49. See, there's no pattern with that one. It's also the only number from 0 to 9 that's not easily, you can't take 360 and divide it by 7 easily.
Oh, wow.
The reason it's the lucky number is because you can get to 7 on a set of dice the most times with the combinations that you're given from 1 through 6.
Interesting.
That's why 7's lucky, because you can do 1, 6, 5, 2, 4, 3, and then you can reverse that. Yeah, that's a really cool one.
I didn't know all of that.
This is like the stuff I would think of as a kid. Instead of counting sheep, I would like find number patterns to go to sleep, and I still do it to this day to like calm myself.
Wait, what? I love math, but this tramps. I keep saying tramps. Trumps. Oh my gosh, I've been saying that all day. It's embarrassing. This trumps my love for math.
It's okay. You don't have to be shamed for your love of math, I promise. But yeah, like that's the kind of shit I think about with 7. Yeah, I turned 7 whenever my mom and dad were going through like their split up. My son, whenever my son was born, he was 7 pounds, 14 ounces, 21 inches long. What? Yeah, it was cool.
Oh, that's all the visible life.
Haley's wasn't cool. She was like 8 pounds, 6 ounces or something boring. But no. Sorry, future Haley, whenever you hear this. I was 21 whenever I was pregnant. Like, wow. I was 14 when my house burned down. There, like so there's like I turned 15, like, yeah, I would have been 14. I turned 15 like in a hotel. It happened like a week before my birthday. Wow. But yeah, my birthday is 3/7.
Dude.
Yeah. It's really cool. That's like the kind of stuff I do in my head constantly.
7 is connect. My last name, it spells 7. I mean, spell 7. Jeez.
It's 7 letters?
Yes. Why did I say spell 7? That doesn't even make sense. Like,
whenever I went to dinner with the mentor, the math professor, we were talking about names, because he has twins, but their names are very different. But he was like, oh no, we didn't want like matching names, but I really wanted them to have the same number of letters and the same number of syllables. And I was like, oh, I thought the same thing. Like, whenever Haley was born, I wanted her to have a 2-syllable name like Jared, and I wanted it to be like 5 letters. So that's what I did. Like,
Haley.
Yeah, because she's not spelled like the normal way, because I wanted it to be 5 like Jared. So it's Haley instead of having all the crazy vowels in there. They're not necessary anyway.
That's right. I think I spelled her name wrong once.
No, it's okay. Everybody spells both kids' names wrong, and that'll just happen forever, because it is. They'll get used to it.
Name again?
Huh? Oh, Jared. But I spelled it Jarid.
Oh,
Because
nice.
I had a friend named Jared that was spelled that way, and that is technically the old Germanic way of spelling it.
Wow.
So, or from my research, I don't know if that's true, but from my research, but yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, got stuck on something. See, these take a while. Okay. Do you mind people asking you for math help?
I don't. I will say like I don't pride myself on my promptness in response, but when I do get back to you, I would love if you ask, math help, because my brothers asked me for math help. Huh?
Me opening my soda was really loud. Sorry. Anyways.
You're good. You're good. I didn't even hear it. But my brothers ask me for math help sometimes, and I find myself getting really excited to help. So I think a part of me still likes to do math. So if I can help, if I do remember the topic, hit me up.
That's awesome. And I think we're gonna tag you in this too, so they'll be able to find you. I really miss tutoring, and I had somebody reach out to me and ask if I could tutor them, and I said yes enthusiastically, and then I realized that my schedule has no time for it, so I felt bad. But I was honest and was like, I'm sorry, I can't. It's just I'm gonna keep postponing, and like I never have time. So
yeah, I had to take down my tutoring site because of that during school, and I just it's just too expensive now. So I just had to take it down.
Okay. This one was really good. If not math, what else would you do?
Oh, love that question. Love it. I literally okay, seriously, like it's between two things. But the first thing that trumps it all is weather. Well,
Like
more
meteorology?
not necessarily, like fulminology, which no one's really heard of because it's not really a study necessarily, but it's a study of lightning. Like I'm fascinated by lightning.
That's cool.
And like hurricanes and all the natural disasters. I love learning and understanding how it happened. And if I could have studied that, if I knew where to look, I think it's called climatology. Pretty sure.
Okay.
But the study of weather. But yeah, if I knew like where I could study it, what school I could have gone to do it, that would be what I'm doing now. Like that would be it. My heart. Oh. Anyway, the second thing, if that's, whatever, I would, do like social work maybe.
Yeah.
Seems interesting and impactful.
Yeah.
Wow, you could see the excitement die when I said that. Jeez. Never mind.
My thing is like I always thought I would be a teacher. Ever since I was little, I wanted to be a teacher. I got to college and said my major would be teaching, and then I found the love of math, so I was like, I'll teach math, and I tutored. But I think for my personality, I would carry too much, and I think the universe pointed me in the right direction, because I would bring it home with me every day, and I would never let work go, and it would probably get really, really exhausting.
Yeah.
That's why I was tutoring. I would be answering student text messages and emails at like 10 or 11 o'clock at night because they didn't do their homework until the last minute. And I'm not the person that's like, fuck you, get your shit together.
Yeah.
I'll just stay up and answer your question and not get paid for it.
Yeah.
So like
honestly, that's why like when I was tutoring as well, it was exhausting. Like I loved it, and I love, like you said, I love helping people, and I love encouraging people to understand the math, because it's like, yes, you got this. But I would be so exhausted, like even before going into it, I'd have to mentally prepare myself. And I learned it's because naturally I'm introverted, and like all that exerting energy is exhausting for me, but I love it at the same time. But I just figured maybe like teaching all the time isn't what my heart wants.
Yeah.
There's probably another way to help people in a way where it doesn't exhaust me all the time.
Yeah. If we lived like forest people, I would want to be an alpaca groomer.
Nice. I love it.
But since we're not forest people that just like live off of a bartering system and wear like, naturally tanned cow hides and live in the woods, I can't really do alpaca grooming for a living.
Yeah.
But
I mean, other than like a teacher now, but I can groomer. Was there something else you had in mind?
What?
Other than like alpaca, I'm saying that wrong, but the grooming and the teaching.
Yeah.
Is there something else you had in mind to do?
No, not really. Whenever I first started at Hartnell, I said I was going to be a teacher, and then I realized that major really sucks. And Then I switched to nursing because nurses make a lot of money. And then I hated all the biology classes and I was hating school and I didn't want that to happen. So then I went to math. Yeah. But yeah. I wanted to be an astronaut whenever I was really, really little because I always think space is cool.
That
But
seems to be common. But like you, when I was little, I wanted to be a teacher because
I want to do none of the work. I want to be like Bruce Willis and somebody be like, we need a statistician on space stat. And then I just get to go to space.
He was the math guy in the movie.
Yeah,
I
that's what I learned as I got older. I was like, I don't actually want to be a rocket scientist or like an astronaut. I just want to go to space. Like
amazing. You should still. Oh, you should still do
that. Yeah. Okay. Somebody asked a math question, right? And I was trying to think of like how do you have your phone on you?
I do.
I'm going to text it to you because PEMDAS is important. So you have to see how the numbers are typed.
Yes, I'm excited. Okay.
So I thought it was funny that somebody literally asked this. 48 divided by 2 times 9 plus 3. Okay, I just sent it to you so that you know the order. But
ooh, okay. I love it. I dig it.
So for those that don't know, PEMDAS, or please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, is parentheses exponents, multiply, divide, addition, subtraction.
Mm-hmm.
We'll do a little math lesson. And then I recently had a question like this come up whenever I was at the math professor's house, and he corrected something for me and said that parentheses means you do what's in the parentheses first, not next to them.
Yeah.
Which I was mistaken with. So
what?
Yeah, I always thought that meant you had to do it first, and then I learned.
I don't blame you. I blame the teachers. I'm sorry. I got so passionate about that. But yeah.
So that means you would do 9 plus 3 is 12. So 48 divided by 2 is 24. And then do 24 times 12, right?
Yep.
Which would be like 144 times 2, maybe?
Shoot, I can't do that in my head.
No, 24 times 12. 12 times 12 is 144. So then you'd have to do like 144 times 12 again.
Wait a second.
12 times 20 would be 2400.
Oh, wait. You would multiply because 9 plus 3 would be in the numerator.
So is it 2448? Is that the answer? I'm gonna get a calculator now. No, it's way less than that. 288. I did it too many times.
Yes.
Did you? This has nothing to do with the Instagram questions, but did you use a calculator a lot during your degree?
Yes, I did.
Like a scientific calculator?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I should have specified. I was like very stubborn and refused to buy one. I never bought one.
I never bought one either, but fortunately, like I was in Trio and Trio Student Support Services, and they offered they gave calculators and stuff. But I never needed the scientific one because they just confused me.
Yeah.
I didn't. I mean, I'm more of a draw it on a paper and it makes sense.
Yep. Same. And my whole thing is I remember whenever I was younger and I was a weirdo that counted it and still weird, whatever that. Mm-hmm. I used to think I was a superior being if I could add, subtract, multiply, divide in my head quickly. And then the same math professor that I keep bringing up that I don't name because I have a habit of calling him by his last name, so that's why I just don't name him. So he said to me once, I'll never forget this. He said, math isn't about computing numbers quickly. Math is about problem solving. So if computing numbers is holding you back from solving the problem, just get out a fucking calculator. Right. Yeah. And I was like, he was like, that's why we have computers. I was like, I love that so much. So
oh, I love it.
That's and cool. I've had people in bars before that are like, oh, you're a math student? What's 47 divided by 3? I'm like, I don't know, dude. And they're like, do you even study math?
Oh my God. I like how you did the drunk imitation and everything. Yeah, totally. Mm-hmm. Some decimals, sir.
Okay. What's something that a math teacher said to you that made you love math even more?
Wow, what a beautiful question.
I know, that's what I mean. People are good at this. Gonna put me out of a job.
Wow. There's probably a lot of things. I don't necessarily think I think it was my 8th grade teacher, but I can't it's a blur, to be honest. But I'm pretty sure even though he was so mean, he was a great math teacher. And he would tell me well, the class stuff about like how math can be applied to anything and everything,
Yep.
in his own way of saying it, but that's how I interpreted it. In that math class, math seemed like it made everything make sense. So I think subconsciously that's when I started to know math was like, but I honestly can't remember right now. Like I'm sure like some professor in college said something impactful to me about math because I never strayed away from it. Like I kept going with it, which is not. It's hard. Math is hard,
Yep.
but at the end of the day, I think it was more so what the professor said about me than about math.
Oh.
They would encourage me and say like kind of like what I mentioned before, you can do anything with math, but it's not about math doing anything with anything. It was about me, Emily, doing anything with the tool of math. And they like would encourage me and tell me that I'm, you know, I'm smart and blah blah blah. Just these positive things. And that with math was a good connection and it helped me see the positive in math.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully that answers that question.
I like that. That's good. I don't have like a moment that a teacher said something that sparked it for me. Another pet peeve of mine, I have a lot of them, is whenever people say like, oh, I'm not a math person, I don't have a math brain, and I'm like, this is not a thing. Like I cannot. Because here's my thing, like, do you ever tell a person like, I don't have a piano brain, right? Like that's not a thing. You never picked up the piano.
Oh my God, Jerri,
right? Like,
help me remember. Jeffrey used to tell me like everyone can do math. Everyone
yes,
can do math.
It's very intrinsic. Music is math, rhythm is math. If you can dance, you can do math. If you can sing like and keep a beat, you can do math. Like, yeah. So like so many, like the Fibonacci sequence happens in nature all the time. Your brain picks out patterns and symmetry all the time. So that's why I'm like, no, you just either your brain didn't enjoy doing it or nobody nourished it, just like everything else in childhood. Like you don't say like, oh, I don't have an English brain. You just say like, oh, I'm a bad speller, right? Or something like that. Like,
yeah, exactly.
You're like, oh no. And so yeah, that's my thing, is like, no, you can. It's just that like either it doesn't interest you, which is fine, or like, but yeah.
Encourage, like if it doesn't interest you, that's okay. No pressure.
Yeah. Also, like if you can tell time, you're doing math. If you can count money, you're doing math. Have you ever played poker? You were doing math. Like,
nice.
right? Like,
or played pool, that's geometry.
Yeah, exactly. Like
I love it.
There's so many things. You calculated how many shots you've had and how much alcohol is in each shot, so you played on math. If you know how much a dime bag weighs, you do math. Right? Like,
oh my God, literally. Oh my God. You think you're G? Well,
anyways. Oh, so these ones are silly and they get asked at the end of every episode. What's your favorite spice?
I would say the mix of like cinnamon and I don't know, whatever they put in I was gonna say sandalwood. No, not sandalwood. But it's like some like whole spice that tastes like
maybe allspice. Is it allspice?
Maybe I'm gonna go with that for now because I have no idea what it's called, but it's mixed with cinnamon and you put it in tea or just steamed milk and it's so good.
Cinnamon is a very popular one. That one comes up a lot. It happened because it was a typo and somebody commented, "What's your favorite spice?" And they meant to ask, "What's your favorite Spice Girl?" So we just had to keep going with it. The problem with the Spice Girl question is I've found that a lot of people don't really know the Spice Girls that well.
Yeah.
Because the people that are my age didn't grow up with Spice Girls. So the spice question stuck because everybody knows that.
Yeah. So true. Spice.
Another one that got added to the end of the show because I liked it was have you ever seen Winnie the Pooh?
Yes.
Okay, do you have a Winnie the Pooh character that you identify with the most?
Oh my god. Piglet. Piglet for sure.
I love that. I'm an Eeyore, definitely. I get very blue very easily. My mom thought I was a Tigger, so I think I present myself as a Tigger, but my inner is an Eeyore for sure.
I forgot about Tigger. Wow, that's crazy.
So yeah, some people have a good blend. They're like, well, at this moment I'm this person, at this moment I'm this person.
Yeah, I you know what? I think I can be Tigger, and I think I want to be Tigger, but the Tigger part of me exhausts me too much, at least now in this stage of my life. And Piglet, like he's so cute, adorable, friendly, but also like so anxious.
He is, and he's so wholesome. He just means well.
Just tries to be there for Pooh Bear.
I know.
And not that anxiety defines me, because heck no, but I can relate to the anxiousness.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to have a lot of anxiety and I've let a lot of stuff go. So that's why I've definitely been more Eeyore than anxiety Piglet in my life. Yeah.
Eeyore, I love the way you talk.
Yeah. Okay. That's fine, I guess. Thanks for noticing.
Yes. Thanks for noticing. I'm gonna watch that before I go to bed.
I listen to the audiobook a lot too. The narrator is very pleasant. It's a very short audiobook, but yeah. Have you seen Encanto?
I love that movie. I've
my gosh.
watched it more than once, but like I've just been living in the memory.
Spoiler alert for anybody that hasn't seen it, just in case. But do you have an Encanto character that you identify with the most? Because that's a new thing too. People are talking about it.
I love that movie, and I definitely resonate and relate with Maribel. Because
okay.
I mean, in the beginning when she was sitting under the bed with the little boy crying, she didn't cry, but she was like saying like, you know, if me not doing my thing did hurt me, but I'm here for you. That just made me think of my little brother.
Aww.
And like the things I want to protect him from, but I can't protect him from, and so I'm just going to support him. And like it also made me think of the pain I'm going through and the things that my mom couldn't protect me from necessarily because life. And it's also there's some beauty in it, and she turned it into like, it was sad, she's sad deep down, but she's turning it into beauty. She's not letting that define her. That scene was awesome. Big for me, and I was crying my eyes out. Like,
I love that. I love that so much.
Oh my god, I'm gonna watch that movie again. I can't.
My daughter is obsessed with music, so we watch it approximately 3 times a day, every day since Christmas Day. So it is great music. The dancing video. Yeah. So people are surprised by this, but I was instantly drawn. I love the song, but I was instantly drawn to Isabella. So I do not think for the slightest that I am perfect or that I lead a perfect life, but I love her song because her song is all about what else can I do. And it's like once she stopped worrying about what everybody thought, she could do all these like amazing things. And that's what I'm doing right now because I'm almost 30 and I'm like, I need to know what else I can do before I just like settle into this life. Right? I don't want to be like this grouchy old person that like resents my life.
Yes. Oh, Jerri, heck yes.
So I'm like, I'm going to make a podcast and I'm going to write a book and I'm going to read all these audiobooks. I'm like, what else can I do? I might release a Christmas album next year. We'll see.
Dude, yeah, like what the hell? And that's where I'm at too. I mean, different stage in life, obviously, but I'm at the point where I'm like, I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Hence the solo traveling.
Finland sounds so cool.
I'm very-
I watched Eurovision last night, the Will Ferrell movie on Netflix. Or not, I said last night. I meant like a week ago. But it instantly made me want to go to Iceland because that's where you can see the Northern Lights the most, from what I've read. And I was like looking up trips to Iceland because I'm like, oh, this is way cheaper than I thought. Like I have to save and plan because it's Iceland and it's like a long ass plane, but you know.
Exactly.
How long is your plane to Finland? Do you know?
Yeah, it's let's see, one flight from here to LA, so that doesn't count. It's about 23 hours. Not because there's like a connecting flight, so
Oh, okay. Like a 23-hour day, basically.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
That's weird that they don't just fly out of SJC. You have to go to LAX.
Yeah, I thought the same thing, but I guess no, that still doesn't make sense. Because I mean, you do international flights from San Jose as well, don't you?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes, actually, I think LAX might be bigger and has more connecting.
It is a huge airport. I've never even been to it. It's so big.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I mean, population is like 10 million.
Yeah, it is literally.
So I guess that makes sense.
I follow this guy on Instagram.
Mhm.
His Instagram handle is TK California, but on TikTok he's known as the California Forever Goodbye guy.
Oh, okay, I love that, first of all.
Yeah, and so all he does is like shit talk other states and talk about how great California is. So he always brings up that like the population of LA is bigger than like 3 Midwestern states combined. Like
I can hear this tone.
He's like, nobody is fleeing to your state. Your state is not being overrun by Californians. The population of you and these 2 other states is smaller than LA. And he's always so funny. He's like, California forever goodbye, like all the time.
I love it. I actually love that perspective. And
like,
what's the guy's name again?
Oh, so on let me make sure I'm saying the right thing for Instagram. Because I don't have TikTok, but my husband shows me some funny ones. And then I find them on Instagram because most of them will like post to both.
Yeah, I don't have a TikTok either.
Okay, so it's TK California. Because his name is Travis something or other, but TK California.
Okay.
And this is what he looks like. Oh wait, I think it's gonna be too bright. Hang on. Let me fix this. Let's see if that works. Oh, there you go. So this is what his Instagram looks like.
Okay.
Just so you know, whenever you get to it. Okay. Looks super LA. He just looks like a super LA white dude.
Yeah, he does with that hood and everything.
Yeah, super LA white dude. But I love him so much. Because that's how I feel talking to my family. They're like, ooh, California's expensive. It's always on fire. Ew. And I'm like, well, you guys are shoveling snow. Shut the fuck up. Right? Yeah. Oh my god, your gas is like $4.30. Just move to Texas. And I'm like, ew, no, I'm not going to Texas. Gross. So yeah.
What about the tsunami in Monterey?
Oh, that didn't actually do anything. I think Santa Cruz got some pretty high tides, but ours wasn't that weird. I have no idea how Southern California did. I don't really know where the volcano hit. Like, I don't know where that happened. My dad will do that too. He'll call and be like, are you okay? There's a I heard there's a fire. There's a big fire. And I'm like, dude, the state is so big. The state is as big as all 47 states on the East Coast. Like, I have no idea.
There's a fire, man.
Like, and he's like, you don't know if there's a fire? And I'm like, well, I'm outside and I don't see ash and I don't smell fire. So I'm going to go with the no. Like,
good point.
Yeah. Like, or he'll be like, or my family will always say like, oh, if California's on fire, then there's an earthquake. And I'm like, I've been here for 8 years now and I haven't seen a big earthquake like at all. I've slept through most of them. But I do know that the 21 years I spent on the East Coast were full of like 6 months of depressing ass, cold ass, snowy, slushy weather. And in the summertime, it was so fucking humid, you couldn't even enjoy the outside.
Oh, that's true. At least I've heard.
And then there's hurricanes like all the time that actually do like a lot of damage where your trampoline ends up in your neighbor's yard. Like,
the way you said that. Like, yeah, that's a normal thing. Oh my God. Such an inconvenience.
I could not. Like, yeah. California's the best. For sure. Uh-oh. Okay. Sorry. I thought I froze for a second. It happens a lot out here because my computer's mad that I've been recording for so long.
Oh, you're good. You're all good.
But yeah, I'm gonna end it now because we've talked for way too long. But that happens a lot. You don't have to hang up right away. I'm just gonna stop recording. But
Okay.
thank you for being on the show. Oh, do you have anything you want to tell listeners about college, math, jobs, life, anything before we end?
I think I want to share just a reminder, like, you know, college is hard and no one's denying that, but that like it's worth it in the end, no matter what anyone tells you or what you tell yourself. And like, you know, look at me and Jerri, we're really happy with where we're at, and we were in college for 6 years. She was probably in college longer than me, I think, but regardless, that's a lot of years, and pushed through and we made it, and now we're hella happy with where we are right now, and we have jobs, medical insurance, we're good, you know.
Yep.
So just remember, like, whatever your end game is, just said it, remember your why.
Yep. I love that. That's great advice.
Thank you, Jerri.
Oh, and then I always forget this because this is new, but it has nothing to do with you. I brought this up in my last episode. I do have an Amazon wish list if anybody would like to support me there. And then I do have a Patreon because I'm in my broke ass garage. So it's not that I want to make money, but you know, you could help me buy something nice for my setup. Just gonna throw it out there. No pressure. But for all the listeners out there, that way you know. Right, I'm not gonna be like one of those people. They're like and subscribe, right? Because I think that's dumb as hell. But,
smash that subscribe button.
yeah, like we all know how YouTube works, ma'am. Okay, to tell us. But no offense if you do that. It's just not my thing. I like and subscribe all the time. I don't need anybody to tell me to do it. So but if anybody's feeling generous, my birthday is March 7th, coming up soon. And yeah, I have an Amazon wish list and a Patreon. So, you know, there's that. Okay.
Are you gonna put like a link to that on your...
Oh yeah, I should say that, huh? I'm really bad at this. I do have all of those links in my description boxes of Spotify and YouTube on all of the episodes, even the past ones before I had set it up, because you can go back and edit stuff. Yeah. Ching ching. All right, I'm gonna end this now. Okay, bye.